quick disclaimer. I do not own Spider-Man, Marvel, or Disney, or whoever else does. I do not. Don't sue me, please. Hello, this is Dark Warrior. This is my first YouTube tutorial for Blender. It's not really a tutorial, actually. It's more of an explanation on how I did something. Because I just updated my Spider-Man model so then my animations will look a little bit better. I'll only be explaining one part of the update that I did. The part I won't be talking about is I fixed the web's part of the suit. Beep. I fixed the web part of the suit. So then it flows properly around his body, on the gloves, on the boots. Does it need a lot of work still? Yes. Will I fix that at some point? Yes. Okay. So I know the mask. Beep. I know the mask doesn't look perfect to movies or comics, but again, I'm working on it. But what I'm here to do is explain how I made the 2D eyes. That if you're familiar with Into the Spider-Verse, how the eyes have a cartoonish, they can stretch, they can change their shape. I'm going to show you how I did that, because if I put him into pose mode, you can see the lens shape can change, and I want to show you how I did that. One is you have to have the mask or the face with no eyes. The reason for this is if you normally have the eyes like this and you push it down, you need to be able to show empty space there, empty regular mask, red mask. Like this. This is also so then the added lenses have a smooth-ish surface to slide on. I'm also working on a better mask, but that will come out later. So how I did this effect. What I did, well, it's not really effect. How I did this is I made the lens. I hope you can figure that out by yourself. And it's very basic shape. Very basic. It's not even proper lens shape because this is weird. But that's not the point. What the point is the shrink wrap modifier slaps it smoothly onto a chosen surface. The chosen surface being the Spider-Man mask. Now, beep. Now to make it look good, I usually do one side, mirror modifier. I'm not going to talk about the armature piece yet and how I rigged it. That comes, so I'll talk about that later. Subdivision subsurface, and I forget what this means or what I use this for. Oh, that's something else. I'll talk about that later. Different tutorial. The shrink wrap allows it to attach the contours of the mask, allowing you to slide it around. Now, with all that out of the way, I should be able to now talk about the rigging side of it. That was the wrong button. And now, the rigging part. What I had to do in order to get this toe look right, even though it's still buggy in little areas like this, if you look closely, is a little buggy, and so is this. It's not perfect. That's why you want to use the smooth modifier and a solidify modifier, so it has some thickness to go into the mask, and also the smooth modifier smooths out some, not all, but some of the mistakes. The rig. I seem to be avoiding talking about the rig. Oh boy. The rig for the lenses is pretty much a separate entity from anything else. Any of the arms, the legs, any of that is pretty much separate. Most of it's just parented to a head bone in the main part of the rig. Yeah, that looks really messy and out of control, but let me talk about the controls. The controls, there are 9, 8, 4, 8. Sorry, I got confused for a second because actually there is 8 main ones and 2 little ones that help with if you don't want this to be so sharp, you can move them even though it takes a while. Moving them uh, smooths out this sharp piece. The reason that why you might want that is if you don't want that sharp piece that's usually there in Spider-Man's mask if you're moving this lower. So what I had to do was actually kind of painful, is that I had to make for the beep. What I had to do to rig the lenses that are going to deform and then shrink wrap onto his head is I had to give a deform bone to each vertex on the lens. And let me explain. If I take away the subdivision subsurface and I take away the shrink wrap and I go into edit mode, I had to build a bone for every single vertex you see here. Every single vertex except for this black edge. This black edge is parented to, like, let me explain. This black vertex is parented to the same one that this is. It's not parented, it's weight paint. I'm sorry. If I'm rambling, it's because this is my first tutorial. I will straighten down and fix myself. Hopefully without too much need of practice. So, what does the deformed bones look like if I was to show you that? What it looks like is it looks like total chaos. There's one for each, and the reason for this is the ones in the center also need controlled movement, otherwise they will collapse when you try to do these exaggerated looks. Also, I had to increase how fast the deformed bones grow in size as related to when the controller bone goes up in size, for the reason of it became really painful otherwise to try to get anywhere. Because originally the distance between these two is really tiny. I'm having a very hard time explaining all this. I'm sorry. But to show, that gets huge really quickly, and that's not naturally supposed to happen. So what you have to do is you have to use a transformation modifier. And I don't know how to explain this setup, but if you're familiar with the map range node in either the shader or geometry nodes, it's like this is what it's like. It's kind of like this. There's a from and there's a to, and that helps with it's a little hard to work with, but that helps with if you're trying to have something expand faster, because otherwise I had to drag my mouse out to make this thing expand the lens. I have no idea if I've explained enough of how I made this 2D cartoon mask, but hopefully this will work and suit our needs, or my needs, and with my 2D shader, this is what it should look like. Not much of a difference. As you can see, it's still Spider-Man. Okay. I'm gonna leave it all there. Well, hopefully I've explained the process in which I've done this. I know that this wasn't a massive in-depth tutorial. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully I'll get enough practice in with these examples that I'll be able to post something more in-depth. Maybe I'll do an entire series if anyone wants to show you how I maybe build like a sword or spear or something from the ground up. So anyhow, new Spider-Man that will help me with my animations. Hope you all are doing good. Take care, and If you do Blender, please comment down below because I like seeing people who also do Blender. And also please comment if you think Blender is the best 3D art program ever. This is Dark Warrior, signing off. Hope you all had a good day. Goodbye.